Hey guys, welcome back to MFO. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Over the last week, we've seen a bunch of posts by Ty. We've seen Matt Adams. We've heard a lot of different anglers who are basically going to social media and saying, the dream is dead. The idea of working my way through the opens and qualifying for the elites, I can't do it. The money's not there. And the ability to do what I want to do to make it to the elites, I'm just gonna have to bow out and not keep chasing that dream. It makes it seem as though there's just a bunch of people that are leaving the opens and not doing it. We're going to talk about whether that actually is the case and why it's happening now, what we're seeing, and talk about that dream of becoming a Bassmaster elite angler. We'll be back right after this, guys. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. Hey, before we get started, I just want to give you a quick piece of information. The Learning House, which is the school that I used to own and that I still work at, that makes the core tackle swim jigs. You've seen videos that I've done about that. They're doing their annual raffle. This is the big fundraiser that they do every year to raise money for the outdoor trips and things like that they do. They're doing their annual raffle. Every raffle ticket is $1. I'm gonna ask you if you would be interested. Send a check. It's a non-for-profit organization, so send a check. If any of the Mark Fisher Outdoors followers buy raffle tickets, I'm gonna ask that you buy at least 25, but anything 25 or more. If you send a check to the Learning House Foundation, you put it in the comments that you sent your check, we'll get your tickets written out for you in your name. You may win a round trip ticket, two round trip airline tickets anywhere in the United States, a ton of other prizes. They have over 100 prizes to give out in this raffle. They'll make sure that you get that, but I'm going to make sure that I send you a Phoenix or a Mercury hat just for sending in that donation. So again, let me say it real quick. The address to the Learning House is on the screen here, and it's also in the description of this video. Send a check for at least $25 or more. You're going to get a raffle ticket for every dollar that you donate. But make sure that you put in the comments that you sent your check, because then I'm going to make sure, number one, that we get your tickets, and number two, that I'm going to send you a Phoenix or a Mercury hat for making that donation. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate that. All right, let's talk about the Bass Opens and what's going on with the Bass Opens. I just noticed over the last week how many posts I was seeing about guys who are literally saying, I'm not doing this anymore. Now, when you look at Ty, he got DQ'd, and he's obviously very upset about it. And he's saying Bass is the reason that they've taken away my dream. That's an individual situation. I understand his situation. You get posts like Matt Adams, who basically kind of went on there saying he's done, he can't do it, he can't afford it. Let's talk about this from three different perspectives. Number one, whoever got into the opens thinking that while you were trying to achieve your dream of becoming a Bassmaster elite angler, while you were doing that, you were going to make a ton of money doing that. I think you were misinformed from the very beginning. I mean, as long as I've been around, knowing that to get through the opens to become an elite was going to be a tough road to hoe, and you were not going to make a lot of money doing it. And quite honestly, it's not even the kind of thing where sponsors are going to jump on in a lot of cases to support your way through that. It is not a fine. You're gonna have to find your money somewhere else. It's just not going to be there. So those guys who are kind of getting on now and going, man, I just can't make any money while I'm trying to make it to the elites. I think you were starting off with a flawed premise. There's not that much money to be made fishing the opens. Now, the second thing is whether or not it's an easy road, and I think that's something that a lot of guys look at and say, well, I've done well in these tournaments, whether it be on a different professional league or whether it be on regional leagues, and you say, hey, I should be able to hold my own. It is a tough, being in the opens is just, it's a tough field. It is 200 of, some really, really good sticks out there that are all trying to make it to the elites. And the reality is they're only taking the cream of the crop, the very, very skim layer of the top anglers. So that's a hard bar to reach. The third thing, and this is the thing that I think is mostly what we're seeing right now, is the last EQ event just happened on Okeechobee. And so guys are kind of at the end of their season. And even though it's almost late, it's almost Thanksgiving, and a lot of us have not been fishing for a while on the tournament scene. These open EQ guys literally just finished their season last week. And they're turning around and looking at their standings and looking at their bank statements and going, oh man, I went and fished these tournaments. And I think it was 4 in the division that they were in, then another 3 of the EQs. So 7 tournaments that they had to pay for to get in. And then you look at your standings and you look at what you did. And obviously the guys that made it to the EQs were doing well enough to make it there. They were the best of the anglers that were in just the 4 division events, and yet, all but 10 of them didn't make it. And so now they're kind of looking at it like, oh my God, am I ready to, in 2 months or 3 months, jump back on that treadmill and start all over again? And I think a lot of them are going, not for me. It would be a tough deal to handle. And I think that that's probably why in this day and age of very quick responses and social media, we're seeing a lot of guys going, nah, I'm not going back next year. I just got done with that, grind, literally, a 10-month grind. And and now it's time to sign up to go back and do it next year. My guess is that's why we're seeing so much of what we're seeing right now going on. And some of it may be the case, and some of it may be from a standpoint of, I'm just not going to do it, and then give them a month or 2 off and let them get those competitive juices again. And sure enough, they pay their deposit and get back in, or some of them may actually be done. I don't think that has an impact on the field size for next year's opens. I don't know that. I think there's a lot to it. I think that there's some bad PR going along with bass in general. I think that, some competing leagues like the pro circuit are offering a lot more money for somebody who wants to go and competitive fish and be able to make a living competitively fishing, just from a standpoint of, hey, I put my money down and I got some return by coming in, 50th place or first place or whatever. And those are much better than the opens. But I don't know that we're going to see a significant decline in anglers fishing the opens. But that we'll have to see. I don't have any information of that as of the date of this taping, so I don't know that that's the case. But it does, sir, feel like it and seem like it when you look at all the Facebook posts and the YouTube posts and things like that. So, guys, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on it. I appreciate you tuning in to our channel. Hey, and like I said earlier, don't forget the Learning House raffle. If you do that, I'll send you a Phoenix hat. I appreciate it. Make sure it's a donation of $25 or more. You can send that in anytime this weekend, and I'll put the address in the description below. Just shoot me a comment. Let me know that you sent that so that we'll get you in. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. Take care, everybody.